Imagine being forced to choose between the person you love and the entire life you've ever known. Now imagine making that choice twice. This story begins with Ronit, a successful photographer living in New York. She seems independent, confident, and free. But beneath that freedom is a painful past she has spent years trying to escape. One day, she receives shocking news. Her father, a highly respected rabbi in a strict Orthodox Jewish community in London, has died. Even though she has been away for years, Ronit decides to return home for the funeral. The moment she arrives, it's clear that she doesn't belong there anymore. People stare at her. Conversations become awkward when she enters a room. She can feel the judgment everywhere she goes. Years earlier, Ronit had left the community under difficult circumstances. Many people never forgave her, and some never wanted to see her again. As she tries to navigate her father's funeral and reconnect with old faces, she receives another surprise. Her childhood best friend, David, is now one of the community's most respected men. Even more shocking, he is married to Esti, the woman Ronit once loved. The news hits hard, because Esti was never just a friend. Years ago, when they were young, Ronit and Esti shared a secret romantic relationship. Their feelings for each other were real, but in a community with strict religious expectations, their love was considered unacceptable. Eventually, everything fell apart. Ronit left London. Esti stayed behind, and now, years later, they are standing face to face again. At first, their interactions are awkward and cautious. They exchange polite words, but beneath every conversation is a storm of emotions neither woman can ignore. The more time they spend together, the more the old feelings return. Ronit begins to realize that she never truly stopped loving Esti, and Esti begins to remember the life she once dreamed of before she chose duty over desire. Unlike Ronit, Esti never escaped. She followed the path expected of her. She married David, she became a teacher, she lived according to the rules of her community. From the outside, her life looks perfect, but inside she feels trapped. As the days pass, the emotional tension between Ronit and Esti becomes impossible to hide. They begin spending more time together, revisiting old memories and talking about the choices that changed their lives forever. Eventually, the feelings they buried for years rise to the surface. They kiss, and in that moment, all the years of separation disappear. The connection between them is still there, the love is still there, and suddenly both women must face a painful truth. What they felt all those years ago never really ended. But love alone isn't enough. Their relationship exists in a world that refuses to accept it. Soon rumors begin spreading through the community. People notice the way they look at each other. People start asking questions, and the pressure begins to grow. For Esti, the situation becomes unbearable. She loves Ronit, but she is also tied to her faith, her marriage, and the life she has spent years building. Every choice feels impossible. If she follows her heart, she risks losing everything. If she stays where she is, she risks losing herself. Meanwhile, David begins noticing that something is wrong. At first, he tries to ignore it, but eventually the truth becomes impossible to avoid. The woman he loves is in love with someone else, and that someone is his oldest friend. The revelation shatters him. His marriage begins falling apart right in front of his eyes. The tension inside the household becomes overwhelming. Arguments replace conversations. Silence replaces affection, and everyone involved is hurting. Ronit wants Esti to leave with her and start a new life. Esti wants freedom, but is terrified of what that freedom will cost. David wants to save his marriage, but slowly realizes he cannot force someone to love him. As emotions explode, Esti reaches a breaking point. She finally admits that she has spent years living according to other people's expectations. For years, she convinced herself that sacrifice was the same thing as happiness. But now she can no longer pretend. She wants the right to make her own choices. Not because she hates her faith, not because she hates her community, but because she wants to be honest about who she truly is. The story reaches its emotional climax during a public gathering where David is expected to step into a major leadership role within the community. Everyone expects him to continue the traditions that have defined their lives. Instead, he does something nobody expects. Standing before the congregation, David speaks about freedom, about choice, about allowing people to decide their own path. Then, in a moment that changes everything, he releases Esti from the expectations that have been holding her captive. It is an act of love, heartbreak, and acceptance all at once. Rather than controlling her future, he gives her the freedom to choose it herself. The moment is devastating and beautiful at the same time. Years of pain, guilt, and repression finally come crashing down. For the first time, all three characters confront the truth. Nobody wins. Nobody gets everything they want. But everyone finally stops pretending. In the end, Ronit prepares to return to New York. Her time in London is over. She says goodbye to David. She says goodbye to Esti. And for a moment, it seems like their story is ending exactly the way it began. Separated, heartbroken, unfinished. But then Esti runs after her. She catches up to Ronit's car and shares one final emotional goodbye. The two women confess their love for each other. There are no promises about what comes next, No perfect happy ending, no magical solution, only hope. For the first time in her life, Esti has the freedom to decide who she wants to be. And for the first time in years, Ronit leaves without carrying the weight of regret. Disobedience is more than a love story. It's a story about identity, freedom, and the courage to live honestly. It shows how difficult it can be to break away from expectations, but it also reminds us that true freedom begins when we stop living for other people and start living as ourselves. And sometimes, the most powerful act of love is giving someone the freedom to choose their own path.
Please, come on. What?
I was just thinking of the Rav walking in on us. What did he say?
Hashem, strike me dead.